We are Fandom Roulette.
Two nerds with a passion for
History,
video games,
tabletop games,
and, well, really any nerdy stuff that comes into our lives.
While we might not be able to name every ship classification in Star Wars,
Or every Pokemon.
or every spell in the player's handbook,
Well, one of us can.
we're still here to have a good time. Hey everyone, welcome to Fandom Roulette. This is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And on Fandom Roulette, this is a podcast where we talk about a myriad of nerdy things, including such things as history, video games, tabletop role-playing games, and whatever nerdy stuff we want to talk about at any particular time. So Cody, it's been last week things got spooky. But what nerdy stuff have you been up to since the spooky times?
Oh, since the spook days.
Yeah, since some spook
The
days.
sweet spook days. Gosh, quite a bit. We had a session.
Yes, it was good.
Several games came out that I've been playing in prep for our November content, I guess. One I will be talking about today. And then I've been playing a lot of Destiny as like a side thing. Like I think it's kind of my it's kind of like my it's kind of like my nicotine patch for WoW. Cause like I stopped playing World of Warcraft because I was like hardcore addicted to that game. And Destiny comes in and has like weekly shit that happens, and you know, like last week they had a whole event that only shows up once every 3 weeks or something like that. And there's always something new going on. So it's kind of like my new, like, if I'm not prepping for the podcast and there isn't like a brand new game out that I haven't like put 20 hours into yet, like that's my go-to game. Plus I got a couple friends from high school that play it. So it's been it has been fun.
Nice.
There have been a couple of like cool like tabletop role-playing game stuff that just came out. I believe, if memory serves, the War of Eberron source book came out or is coming out very soon, because I've seen a ton of like people reviewing it and like looking at it. A lot of mixed feelings about that book.
Okay.
From what I've seen online. I haven't read it, so I have no idea. I'm actually kind of excited because Eberron is like is the setting that I'm kind of running your campaign in. It's a little more techy. Magic is very prevalent, and we're kind of doing that like noir style campaign, which is like a big part of Eberron. So like part of me is excited just to see like what I can grab from that. The Artificer class is in there, so that'll be cool.
Ooh, yeah.
And then just like all the Eberron races and stuff like that. I believe shapeshifters are in that book. So if like anyone wants to be a shapeshifter, like there you go.
Oh, solid.
Yeah. But beyond that, just the usual stuff. What about you?
Usual stuff. Yeah, I would say a lot of the usual stuff as well. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons. A new season of She-Ra dropped recently.
Oh yeah, was it good?
I just started it.
Okay.
It's good. I'm enjoying it.
Sure.
Obviously they're continuing to build a lot of the cool stuff that they set up last season, including like one big major spoiler thing that happened.
Sure.
That they seem to be committed to, at least at the moment.
Okay.
So we'll see where it goes from there. And then the other big thing, although this one is like brand spanking new and it's going to date the episode a little bit maybe.
Okay.
But I just got Disney Plus.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, right.
Have you gotten to use it yet, or did you like literally just get it?
I got it yesterday.
Okay.
And
what was the first thing that you watched?
I watched Muppet Treasure Island.
Nice.
It is. I made a joke about this. It is the probably the foundational text of who I am as a person.
Okay.
Is that movie? It's I remember as a kid watching it and absolutely loving it. there's this great song where Tim Curry sings about how great it is to be a pirate.
Like it.
And then, but I think the other big thing is, I'm gonna, probably actually after the eps, after we're done recording, I am going to watch the premiere of The Mandalorian.
Oh shit! Yeah,
you know about this show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm a little bummed that it ended up being a show.
Pardon?
I'm a little bummed that Mandalorian ended up being a show and not like a movie.
I mean, I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's very clear that they wanted this to be kind of like one of their big selling features, where it's like Jon Favreau, that director that did Iron Man, and then those like remakes to varying levels of success. And like, it's going to be cool. So like I said, like I haven't had a chance to start it yet, but I'm excited to, and I'll come with my full report after. Although one of the things that's kind of cool, and this might sound weird, but it's gonna be like a week-to-week show, which
okay. They're not doing the Netflix just dump it all on you and then binge it in a weekend.
It seems like most streaming services are like trying to move away from that, actually.
I mean,
which I can see why.
Yeah, I think there's good and bad for both sides of that. Whether it, because like, with when it all like for instance, Stranger Things 3. Yeah, season 3 was the one that just came out in the summer. Like, my wife and I watched that in like, on a Saturday. Like, we were just like, fuck it, YOLO, and just watched the whole thing. And then like, I was like, at the end of it, like, it was good, but like, I was also bummed that like there wasn't something to look forward to now.
Yeah,
like it was like kind of done and over with. Like, because I'm watching My Hero Academia, and that's coming out every week ish, and so I have to wait, and they're only like 30-minute episodes, if that. So like, I basically have to wait, and I kind of almost prefer that if it's something that like I can semi-control, not like cable where it's like you have to come here at Tuesday at 7 p.m. or otherwise you're fucked. Like, so yeah, I could see both.
Dead. But
they're just
dead,
fucking
but...
they're just replacing it with streaming services. Like, that's it. Because now we have like 20 goddamn like.
Yes.
And what they're gonna do? They're gonna fucking bundle it all, like bundle it together, like they did with cable. Like, this is just cable 2.0.
Yeah, I have a lot of like thoughts about this whole situation.
Yeah.
And it's like, it will, and so it's interesting, right? Because like I saw a thing. It was like, I believe the CEO of like HBO or whatever.
Yeah.
And they were talking about developing like original content for their streaming services and stuff. And he basically said like, yeah, we're going to do week-to-week releases because like that builds an audience.
Yeah.
Because, as you were saying, like, you burn through Stranger Things and like, I think it took me like 2 days or whatever, right?
Right.
And then
that's it.
It's gone, right? And then hopefully, when they drop the new season, like, you'll be interested enough to return. And it's not like watching something week to week is like, oh gosh, it's like, because there's downtimes in that as well. There's the summer hiatus and things like that,
right?
But it's more likely that if you're watching a show week to week and it ends in April and you have to wait until like September or October, you're more likely to like come back versus like, all right, so it dropped on October 13th, and then see you next year.
Right.
And I think one of the things is, a friend of mine and I, we kind of make fun of the Netflix animation model because, like, especially with like a show like She-Ra, like it seems like a new season is dropping every couple of weeks at this point. But in a way, like, that's better than, having to wait a year. And obviously it's animation, which means that, you can either and hopefully it's A, which is like, take up a couple of seasons at a time and just slowly release them. Whereas, with filming, like, you have to negotiate schedules and contracts and things like that. But yeah, I'll be interested to see how this Disney Plus experiment goes. I'm really hoping that it doesn't turn, streaming into Neo cable.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
Call me a cynical bastard, but I have a feeling that Disney Plus was that, that kicking down the door for it.
I think it's the beginning of the end for sure.
Yeah.
And there was news that just dropped today that apparently like Netflix and Nickelodeon just struck a deal together.
Oh.
Which I think is a little cooler in a way. I think. I don't know, right?
Here's the thing.
It's complicated.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I think there is a limit to what we will put up with. And it happens every time, because this is what happened with cable. Everyone wanted their own piece of the pie. No one wanted to cooperate, so they made their own cable stations. And that ended up just being a fucking nightmare. So you know what people did? And this is unfortunate for the companies that like produce this stuff. They pirate it. People illegally download it because it is more convenient. And like, I want to spend money on the shows that I like and support the companies that I like. So why make it harder for me to do that by
for sure
constantly splitting things up? But you know what they'll probably do? If they follow suit with Disney Plus, I believe there's a deal where you can get Disney Plus and Hulu bundled together.
Well, Disney owns Hulu, so
right. Which, hopefully, what it ends up being is that people will just kind of like try to get into bundles, so that it instead of just being what it used to be, which was like maybe HBO, Netflix, and Hulu, it's the Hulu bundle or the Disney Plus bundle with like Hulu and whatever other stations, and then like the Netflix bundle, and then maybe like a third one, because like I feel like 2 to 3 streaming services is about where our limit is.
Yeah,
because otherwise we would just like, there's no point in doing streaming service. We could just go back to cable.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Oh, they can't beat the convenience factor of streaming, but
true. I mean, some are offering similar services, but I don't think it's going to be quite as crazy as the way Netflix and the Amazon movie thing works. So I don't know, we'll see. But I think this is kind of kicking down the door of just being Netflix.
Yep. All right, and now everyone stopped listening because now we're old men.
Well, also I wanted to say it. I was thinking about it while we were talking. I did in fact watch the Han Solo movie finally.
Yeah.
And I get it, guys. Totally get it. It's
welcome to my hill.
Yes, I will die on that hill. It was a good movie, and I don't know why I waited so long to frickin' watch it. Like it blows my mind. I can't believe that I waited that long because of what other people said.
Yeah. Live your truth. Be your own man. Or woman. Or non-binary.
Yeah.
Be your own person.
Be your own person. Do what you want. It's your life. Yeah. Use it how you need it.
I didn't do it. So here's the thing. I did that so bad that there's not even an inkling of a chance we can get hit for it.
I don't even remember what that commercial is.
It's for a scam. So anyway, onto the history.
Yeah, tell me what sad, depressing shit I'm gonna learn today and be sad.
All right, so this is the beginning of what I hope to be, maybe like an annual or semi-annual event, which is looking at mythologies.
Yeah, because this is season 5. It's a new season. I don't know if we said that. Season. I think we said it in the Halloween episode, but like that's our like special little event.
Sure.
But this is season 5, so all of the stuff you're familiar with from last season, we threw that out. We chucked it out the window. It hit the car next door, and we're doing new stuff.
The car alarm is like raging right now.
Yeah, and it's gonna go on.
he's standing there. He's like, "What? Why the fuck did you guys do that to my car?" And I was like, "I'm sorry, buddy."
To be honest, I didn't realize that the content from last season was just so fucking heavy.
Jesus,
this is so bad.
So yeah, I will say this. Greek mythology is something that I really got into when I was a child, and I think it's one of the things that kind of it was an early entry point in my love of learning. And then the other sort of thing as I was thinking about this as I was preparing this is that I argue that much like looking at science fiction and things like that, looking at a nation or a culture or in this case sort of like they call it a language group. Ancient Greece is kind of funky. But looking at this can actually give us some insight into what people valued and what their main belief systems were and things like that. So we're going to start off with Greek mythology, because Greek mythology is, I believe, a mythology system that we're all fairly familiar with, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, the things that are established there have kind of become influential in our storytelling and modern fantasy and things like that. But I wanted to talk a little bit about this in terms of there's kind of this overall thesis that I'm going to use throughout the season, which is that at its core, most every single story that we can find in Greek mythology boils down to looking at sort of the major Greek idea, which is bringing order to chaos. So there we go. That's kind of our starting point.
I like it.
And we are going to start with the creation story. Yeah.
And then there was me.
And then there was me. So once again, one of the kind of interesting things I think about Greek mythology is that we have different accounts from different people in different temples and things like that. So sometimes stories might not line up one to one. The main one that I used as a kid was like Duarde's Book of Greek Myths. And then there was another one I had to read in high school that I'm trying to remember the name of. That is a pretty foundational book of Greek mythology. But suffice to say, unlike, let's say, the Christian Bible, there's not like one set, like this is a canonically accepted like book. So in some stories, certain entities might be considered good, and some they might not be considered as good, things like that. So we're going to keep that in mind as we go through this. And the other main thing that we're going to talk about is boy, Greek mythology has some flaws, so we're just going to kind of put that out in the beginning. But
oh boy, this is super bad.
It is, and it's not great.
No.
But our main sort of our main, I guess, kind of text about the creation of the universe, according to the Greek world, is by Hesiod, who was a philosopher. So in the beginning, there was a vast, expansive nothingness that was called chaos. What? And so
chaos reigns.
Chaos reigns. And so basically out of this chaos, this void, this nothingness, emerged Gaia, who was the earth, and came with her Eros, who was love, Tartarus, which becomes the underworld, and Erebus. Now, so after this, Gaia gives birth to Uranus, who is the sky. And then, out of this, the two of them have kids together, and these are the Titans. So there were 6 male Titans, there were 6 female Titans, and of the Titans, there was the best one, who was named Kronos, who was like the master of time. Now, after Kronos is born, Uranus and Gaia are like, all right, that's enough Titans. These guys are really big. They're really powerful. And so they decide that they're going to make other creatures. So the two of them create the Cyclops, and then they create a race called the Hecton Chires, or the 100-handed ones. So basically people with like 100 hands. Now Uranus wasn't fond of these creatures, so he throws them into Tartarus, which in Greek mythology is like their version of hell. Gaia gets upset and convinces Kronos to kill his father. So he does that by like...
It's fucking rough.
Not kill his father, it's actually worse in my opinion, which is castrate his father.
Woof.
Yeah, it's not great.
Man, no, don't kill him.
Yeah.
Just fucking rip his balls off.
Just rip his balls off. Because we need to have a sky, right?
Right, and we also need to like be weird.
Of course. That's like the through line of Greek mythology.
It's like it's gotta be fucking weird.
So after the Titan, so then Kronos gets a message or a prophecy that much like he killed his father, or he took out his father, one of his children was going to be the one who removed him from power. And so basically he's like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to eat all my kids. So his children included Poseidon, Hades, Hestia, Demeter, and Hera. And so he eats all the kids. Eats them up. And then they decide, Rhea, his wife, gets mad at this. And so she tricks Kronos by giving him a stone wrapped in a baby's blanket, which Kronos eats. And then they raise the youngest baby, Zeus, in secret. And then Zeus is he's getting raised. He has a training montage. He gets big. He gets strong. He's drinking magical goat milk. And then he comes. He's like, "Hey, I'm Zeus. Nice to meet you." Gets his dad to throw up his siblings, and then they all fight him and they take him out. And then those become the gods of the cosmos, which we're going to be talking a little bit more about next week. So basically,
go ahead. Question for you.
Yeah.
How do you think Zeus made Kronos throw up?
It depends on the account. It sounds like he kind of gave him like a drugged drink. So perhaps
Epcap or whatever it's called.
Something with a vomiting agent.
Man,
in it.
I can't imagine what you'd have to use on like a Titan in order to make them throw up.
Oh, I know, right?
It'd be like, ugh. I think I would just explode upon touching it. I wouldn't even need to taste it. I would just be like, man, what's this? And just explode into pieces.
Yeah. Ugh. Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Titan throw up milk.
Oh, yummy. Give me more. So as I was doing my research, this was something that was like kind of interesting to me, is that according to some accounts, according to some things like that, there are some people who talk about when the Titans were in charge as like a golden age.
Interesting.
So this is kind of like a common thing that is found through a lot of mythologies, world mythoses and things like that, is that there was like an earlier kind of golden age that is ruined for whatever reason, and then and a lot of times everything is like trying to get back to said golden age, right? Now the thing I was trying to discover is at any point like was so at any point were the Titans worshipped, and then and then the Greeks started worshiping the Olympian pantheon, which is what we call Zeus and his kin. And as far as I'm aware, no. Apparently there was a group of gods that were borrowed from the Near East that were the old gods of an indigenous group in Greece. But like we don't quite know who those gods might be, or who they were. We just know that in every case, the Titans are overthrown by Zeus and his family. Now, as we go through this, we're going to learn that Zeus and his kin were rather flawed. They were petty. They would bicker with one another. They would fight with one another. They do some unspeakably horrible things to one another. And as we learn too, or the interesting thing about Greek mythology is that this is the first pantheon of gods to be completely and wholly human. And what I mean by that is, if you look at a lot of other mythologies, there are aspects of divine things. So like in Egyptian mythology, they have aspects of being like animals or animalistic in some way. In Norse mythology, there are aspects of the Norse gods that are other human or other than human. But in the case of the Greek mythology, they are pretty much just like larger, more intense versions of humans in every conceivable way. And that's actually an important aspect of it. But I'm just wondering, as I'm going forward, as I do more research into this, as I look into this more, if this was kind of like them discussing the fact that it's like the gods reflect our own society, and our society is flawed, and we're trying to get back to that golden age, but there's flaws in the world and things like that. So that was this is going to be my thing as I'm investigating for the next episode. But the baseline is that the Titans ruled over what some consider to be a golden age, and then the Olympians came in and took it out, and then set themselves up as their gods. So there you go. That's a creation myth.
And then set themselves on fire.
Maybe.
Well, I mean, they're
probably at least
petty and absolute shitty, so.
Yep. Yeah, it's we're in for a wild ride, fam.
Yeah.
So any questions about this? So I guess going back to the whole idea of order versus chaos is that the world that we know literally sprung out of chaos. And the gods are trying to establish order, however, weird or however problematic it might be. It's at the core of it, the gods are trying to establish order over chaos.
Yeah.
So there you go. Any questions?
No, I think that was a good summary of the. I'm familiar with the creation myth as well, and
yeah.
So like I think that was good. I guess comment if anything, like man, what an absolute fucked up creation myth, huh?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if like it's still pretty fucked up, but like it's just like weird and wild that like, oh, I had kids and now I'm gonna eat them because someone told me I should, and then like someone else told the one kid that got out like, hey, you should feed your dad like stuff that'll make him throw up, and then you kill him. And then it's like, okay, like it sounds like it's what I imagine I would create in my head for like a story of like things that I drew on a piece of paper when I was like 6, right?
Sure.
Like I was like, oh, there's these people, but they don't like these people, so then they eat them. But then one of them, oh, he's super smart. He made the other one throw him up. Like like
sure.
It feels very crazy and like wild, in that way.
Yeah.
It seems to be
yeah,
go on.
Can I tell a quick story?
Absolutely.
And then we'll move into the middle section. So I took a couple of Greek mythology classes in high school, and then one of them was taught by one of our Latin teachers who was a man who would go and visit his family in Greece every year. So he still had lots of family over there, so he was actually fluent in Greek, Latin, a bunch of languages. And according to some legends and some myths, like Zeus was hidden away on the island of Crete, which is to the south of Greece, where the Minoan culture was originally. And apparently, sometimes there would be like kind of tacky touristy things. And so one of them was like tour the cave where Zeus was raised, right? And apparently you would go through and like they would be giving the tour, and then like a light would come on behind some stalactites and they would go Zeus, and then you would like walk around, and then they would do it again. And at one point they put a light behind like a natural spring that had like a kind of like a almost like a milky white look to it based on the rock formations. And when they put the light on that, they went, "Milk of Zeus." And it sounds like it's a great tour, and I want to go on it very
It sounds like a great tour, but it also sounds like I never want Zeus milk ever.
Yeah, no, I mean, no
one wants it. This is a propaganda ad for anti-Zeus milk.
Yep, don't do it.
Don't do it. Not even once. You know what happens? Yes. All sorts of bad things.
Oh God,
it's a gateway drug.
Oh shit. So anyway, don't drink Zeus milk, friends. And I think on that note, it's time that we should probably go into the
middle section.
Hey everyone, welcome to the middle section.
Welcome.
This is part of the podcast where we tell you about our social medias and stuff.
And we definitely stopped talking about Zeus milk.
Oh yeah. Oh, guys, if you could see the amount of like cutting room floor material we have on Zeus milk. Yeah. I should probably not make that joke.
Oh,
we might have to make some cutting room floor material. So anyway, hey Cody.
Yeah.
I love your guys' podcast, and I want to tell you how much I love it in 240 characters or less. How can I do that?
You can send a tweet at us at our handle, fandomar_podcast.
Oh, very cool. Now I want to send you a lengthier message about how much I love your podcast.
Yeah.
And 240 characters is just so limiting. Is there like an email address I could send information to?
Yes, there is.
What?
Uh-huh. You can send emails to us at fanroulettepodcast@gmail.com if you want to send us a message about how you feel, how you don't want us to talk about, Zeus milk, or if you want us to bring back Garbage Kid because we stopped doing that a while ago.
It's true.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Garbage Kid.
R.I.P.
No, I'm just kidding.
Indeed.
Well, it'll come back when you least expect it.
Oh. But anyways, you can do that at our email. Yeah.
Now, Cody, I want to give you my email because I know that you guys sell information to Russian hackers.
Did we even make it like 2 weeks or two episodes without bringing back the Russian hacking?
Did I not do that in the Halloween Spooktacular?
No, I don't think so. You jumped over that. But anyways, if you don't want to give us your email because you are afraid of the Russians, because that's a logical thing and valid, totally, you can go to our website at www.fandomroulette.com where
lost a bit.
Oh man. On our website, you can find all of our episodes. You can find a little bio for me and Joe if you're looking for more information about us. And all the way at the bottom, right next to the social media links, if you're ever wondering, what the hell their Twitter handle is or whatever, there's also a little area where you can fill out your name or your like internet tag and then a little message, and it'll send it to our email without you having to reveal yours.
Excellent. Hey Cody.
Yeah.
I want. Where are some places that people can find the podcast if they want to tell a friend?
If you want to tell your friends, you can have them search for us at Phantom Roulette on iTunes, SoundCloud, Google Play, Spotify, and baby, we're on YouTube.
Heyo.
Yeah, I just uploaded season 0. Season 0 is done. Our first year's up.
Wow. Whoa.
Yeah.
Shit.
That was like episode 40, I believe. And we're uploading every day, and my goal is that either at the beginning of the new year we will be caught up so that you can watch it on either platform if you so desire.
Yeah. And then what's some other social media that we're on?
We're on Facebook. What? We're on Twitter, which you already know, and we're also on Instagram. That's the one. I'm really good with fucking social media stuff.
Yeah.
That's why my wife does it.
Hey. Woo.
And she makes
Thank you, Cody's wife.
Yeah, she makes great stuff.
It's true. There's always great.
We're basically two halves of the same person, so we always look at like silly things posted on Twitter.
Nice.
And all the other social media links. But yeah, check us out on there if you want more information or just want to know more about what we're doing, because I know the podcast is kind of like, we're talking about stuff. We don't usually get too in-depth on what we're doing.
Yeah. And then, hey, how's our Angel Fire doing?
Our Angel Fire's, it's all right. It's been kind of going through ups and downs. I broke the HTML in it, so, like, I think I downloaded, like, a bad HTML code link, so now it just plays Benny Hill in reverse really quickly.
No, that sounds rad, actually.
And for some reason, I just can't get it to, like, remove itself, so...
You say that as a joke, but it really, it was a funny joke, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to the show.
Welcome back.
Hey, welcome back. Oh man, look who it is. It's everyone's favorite character. Shit, I didn't have anything prepared for this.
We stopped doing this bit.
Yeah, but hey, when you least expect it, it's back.
Oh, hey, goodness.
I'm Norman Reedus' character from Death Stranding.
Oh, wow. Sam Bridges, I can't believe you're here.
Yeah, it's me. How's it going?
Pretty good.
I love them video games.
I bet you do, because you're in one.
It's true. That's how it works. Hey, Cody.
I really love your Norman Reedus impression.
Thank you. It's pretty good.
It's pretty spot on. 100%.
Want to hear a fun fact about me?
Yeah.
I don't know what Norman Reedus sounds like at all. I've never once watched an episode of Walking Dead.
Oh God.
So yeah.
It is really close. If I close my, I think in the show he does. I don't know if he has like a permanent Southern accent.
Okay, I don't know.
Well,
I know things about Norman.
I don't either, except that I know what his CGI body looks like.
Oh God.
Oh man! No, exactly.
How fortuitous that Jill brought this up.
Yeah.
Did you play it?
I did play a game. So
shit.
Yeah, so season 5. I'm going back to playing games.
What?
And yeah, so I'm going to talk about the games that came out in kind of the late 2019 and early 2020 with how we have the season set up. And I figured since it was really close to when it came out last Friday.
The people who wanted you to talk about Mortal Kombat are just like pounding their fists in rage.
Hey, you know what? Maybe we'll get it in season 7, all right?
Hell yeah.
We'll revisit shitty video game movies.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, so I'm going back to video games, and I'm doing releases that came out this year and next year. And so today I'm going to talk about Death Stranding.
Oh, man. Good clean title.
Yeah, super good, super clean. And I wanted to start this off with a little bit of a footnote, if you will.
Okay.
I am not going to be reviewing this game and giving it some kind of score because my opinion on the game is subjective because I'm biased. And here's the thing about the video game news and reviewing industry. Everyone else is also subjective. And you'll probably have noticed that Death Stranding has gotten some really weird reviews. Some people hate it. I think IGN gave it a 6.5, saying it was absolute trash. And I forget the name of the publishing company in Japan, but there is a very, hyper-critical video game reviewer, and hopefully I'll remember it to put it in. They rarely give out perfect scores, but they gave Death Stranding a perfect score. So, I wanted to bring this up because this game is incredibly divisive, and everyone kind of seems to lean one way or the other. You either love it, and, you want to tell everyone why you love it, and it's great, and you're happy, or you hate it, and you want to tell people why it's a sack of shit, and that everyone's dumb for thinking it's cool. And I hate that mentality, so I'm not going to review it and give it a weird number rating. I'm just going to geek out about it and tell you why I really like it, and maybe some things that I thought were kind of weird and maybe not so fun. And What you should do, if you're on the fence, you should definitely watch somebody play it. Because I'll tell you what, I could sit here and talk about the game, it'll make absolute fucking bonker shit no sense, and it'll, I think this is one of those games where you need to watch somebody play it and watch a couple of different people talk about it, because everyone has a very vastly different opinion on this game. So,
interesting.
That being said, I'm fucking loving this game. And I'm going to do my damnedest not to spoil any big parts of the game, because, I really do feel like it's a game that, while yes, you should watch somebody play it for a bit to, get the beats and figure out if, this is the kind of game you want to play. A lot of this, there's, really cool story elements and, spoilers that may or may not, depending on the type of person you are, ruin that for you.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to not spoil the game in big, I'm going to try to speak vaguely about things enough so that you can still, experience it. But Death Stranding, this weird game, the best way I could describe it is it's an open world courier game.
Ooh.
Where you take on the role of Sam Bridges, Norman Reedus, as a post-apocalypse, Amazon delivery guy who is basically tasked with delivering packages to the last remnants of humanity in this, fucking broken wasteland of America in the future, I would imagine, among other things. Mechanically, it's very physics-based. The very beginning part of the game, you are tasked with, carrying crates and things on your back. So there's, a lot of physics. Your L2 and R2 are basically balance you out if you're kind of over-encumbered. Weight is, a huge part of the game. And it's a lot of traveling. It's a lot of exploring the area. It has several kind of stealth/action mechanics, but I think ultimately exploring and delivering is, the ultimate goal of the game. Okay. And the reason why it's pretty divisive amongst a lot of people is it's a really slow fucking burn. Just for a little context, I've put about 24-ish hours in. I haven't finished it.
It's a lot of hours.
Yeah, it's a lot of time. And for a big part of that 24 hours, I basically have nothing. I have shoes and a fucking backpack. And I'm just traveling from place to place, climbing mountains, going over, forging rivers, all that kind of shit. And over time, you do get cool gadgets and items and things that really improve the delivery process without getting into too many spoilers. And I'm hitting that 24-hour mark. The game really opened up for me in a lot of different ways that I wasn't expecting. And it was really cool because you spend a lot of that beginning of the game, like, kind of scared because there's, like, a lot of things that are going on. Like, there are enemies that, like, try to kill you while you're trying to deliver stuff. There's, like, people that want to steal your shit. And you spend the majority of the game just trying to find ways to, like, stay away from them, you know? Or, like, get around them. And now I'm finally at a point where I can say that that's not the only solution. Okay. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. And if you need to ask me questions, feel free, because, like, again, I'm going to be a little all over the place because the game, mechanically and story-wise, is super weird.
I think I'm following it. Carry on.
So, like I said, the story is super weird. I like the themes, because there's this really big, like, unity theme that they want to, like, get through. And, like, that's a very big, heavy part of the game. In terms of, like, the story, like, the dialogue gets a little chunky and exposition heavy. Like, there's some weird dialogue choice, like, options that are kind of like, what? Like, that's not how we talk in real life. But, I mean, It's also a post-apocalyptic America, so, like, I don't know how you're supposed to talk then. It might not be how we're supposed to talk now. Sure. So, like, I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. This is a Hideo Kojima game. If you are familiar with that name, he did the Metal Gear Solid franchise, amongst other things. And Metal Gear Solid is this, like, fucking wild spy drama.
He's kind of a genius, but also kind of a crazy person.
Yeah, it's like he straddles this very weird line between genius, like, theming and, like, knowing how to, like, set a tone, but then also, like, having weird things, like running around in Metal Gear Solid 2 with no clothes on, because, like, that's a thing. And, like, you can't use all of your abilities because you're cupping your genitals. So, like, it's super weird. Yeah, that's the best way I describe Hideo Kojima. He's like, he can get real dark and deep with, like, you know, basically, like, black sites and how torture is awful and, like, you know, war ruining entire civilizations, but then also, like, running around naked and cupping your genitals because, you know, you're naked now.
That rules. I've never heard about this.
Yeah, it's like a huge, like, I won't explain why that happens because, like, it's a huge plot point in Metal Gear Solid 2, but, like, yeah, if you're familiar with those games, it's kind of the same kind of idea. It is definitely super weird. I love the world building because it's, without getting too into it, like, basically just what you've learned from trailers is that there is an event that happens in the future of this game where there's like this barrier between the world of the living and the dead, and humanity has broken that barrier to some degree.
Cool.
Yeah, it's super weird, but, like, it introduces these cool, like, these they're called BTs in the game. And they're these things that you can't see. Some people can see them, kind of like being a psychic, but your character can't. So you basically have to, like, use... this is where that weird baby, if you've seen the trailers and you see the weird baby in the tube, that thing is basically connected to the land of the dead, so it can see things that are dead, that are, like, peering over into the realm of the living. And so you use that to see these creatures. And the thing is, what's really neat, and this isn't super spoiler heavy, I'm trying to keep it as light as possible. They don't see you conventionally, they hear you. So one of the mechanics you have is you can hold your breath. Because if you're breathing and you're too close to them, they'll notice you. And it's really scary when you have to kind of weave in and out of them while holding your breath because you got a little stamina gauge. And if you run out, you'll leave a big, huge breath because you're like, I can't breathe like that, or I can't not breathe. And then they'll kill you. And it's really scary and intense, and I love it.
Do you think you saw that movie with Jim from The Office and got so mad?
Quiet? Oh, yeah, he was probably super pissed.
He was like, why does it take me so long to make video games?
But yeah, the world building, like all that stuff is super weird. And I love it. It's so cool. And I just want to keep learning more. And I'm finally getting to a point in the game where like you're starting to actually learn about the BTs and like this death dimension or whatever. And it's really cool. And it's super like different and unique. It's something I haven't seen done this way. So like, I think from a story perspective, it is like, this is where I'm in my head. It's like, this game is very much like artwork and like you're like, it's just kind of like amazing to watch, like reveal itself. Like I said earlier, there's this theme of unity in the game because like the main character is kind of, without getting into too many details, he is being tasked with uniting the kind of remnants of what's left. And it's a single player exploration game, but mechanically you can build and make things that will help other people who are also playing the game if you're all connected to the internet.
Oh, cool.
So like, and this is super mild, but like at one point you get the ability to build minor structures, like little cross bridges and things like that.
Hell yeah.
And when you kind of like, when you get that area of the game, like basically set up in like the online mode, quote unquote, you can see other people's buildings and stuff. And you can help them build buildings, and you can like help upgrade them so that they last longer. And you can give equipment to other people. And there's this kind of beautiful mechanic where the game rewards you for helping other people out, but also like it also rewards others for helping you out as well. So like, it's one of those games where like, it's very rare for me to play a single player game and give a fuck about anyone else who's playing it, right? Don't care. Just like, I want to play this game. But I've spent a lot of time just helping other people because I'm like, man, I got all these resources that I can't like carry around with me because like, resources are huge and heavy, and like carrying so much around is like impossible. So like, I'm just like, oh, well, I can help that guy out. And like, it's the first game that I've been like actively trying to help out the community get through the game, where most of the time I'm just like, fuck it, YOLO, I'm gonna play the game.
Yeah.
So
sounds like it's good design then.
Yeah. And it's such like a big part, like that theme is such a big part of the game without getting into anything, that it's nice to see that it's also shared mechanically within the game, rather than just being like, this game's about uniting the people of this apocalypse world, and then you just never interact with anybody. Which is pretty common in a lot of games, where like there's a theme that's like in the story, but then like the game itself is kind of truncated and like feels a little disjointed from that theme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So I really like that. And I'm gushing and geeking out about this, but it's definitely divisive because this game goes against a lot of modern day game design techniques that have kind of become staple among people. It's super slow, but it's deliberate, both mechanically and narratively. Like, those moments where you get a cool new gadget aren't just like... An example being, if I get a new item in Destiny 2, there is a 25% chance, maybe less, that I'll give a shit about it.
Okay.
Because it's just RPG loot shit. Like, whatever. Fuck it. But in this game, every piece of, like, tech or resources is just, like, exciting. And it's weird like that. It's like, oh, holy shit, that's amazing. That's super good. the mechanics are very physics heavy. This game kind of is very similar to how complicated the controls are in Red Dead Redemption 2.
Okay.
I don't think they're quite as difficult, but it has like that same line where like to do mundane things like holding your backpack so that you can keep balance is button controls, where like a modern day game wouldn't even think about doing something like that.
Uh-huh.
But it's all deliberate because like that's the game. You are like traveling from place to place, exploring this environment, seeing all the stuff that's out there, kind of indirectly interacting with the other people who are playing. Like, it's just such a different game, and I think that's why I really like it, is that it's a breath of fresh air from, like, your Fortnites and your PUBGs and your, you know, your Call of Duties and, like, these games that are, like, if, you know, because one of those big things in game design, at least from what I've noticed with games, is, like, if you don't get to the action bit within, like, the first 30 minutes, you fucked up.
Uh-huh.
Like, that's, like, just game design 101 in modern day games. It's like, if you don't get to the action real quick, like, people don't care. But in this game, I think I spent, like, I think there was, like, 30 minutes of, like, a cutscene, and then, like, I kind of mildly did stuff, and then there was another cutscene, and then I finally kind of got into the game, and that was, like, that was okay. Because I had no idea what was going on, and I really wanted to learn more. And so, like, every cutscene is, like, a chance for me to be like, oh, shit, yeah, give me that lore juice that I so desperately need.
I say this completely in jest. When you were talking about, like, Fortnite and things like that, man, this is our oldest episode yet. We're such old men in this episode.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I definitely feel like an old man, for sure. I wouldn't say this game is difficult. I'm playing it on whatever their normal version is, and I haven't died, or like I haven't failed. Died is kind of a weird term in this game. But the mechanics are very similar to Red Dead Redemption 2, and they kind of simulate to the best ability what it would be like to be in that situation. So sometimes like the mundane is kind of difficult to control. Like if you're carrying a lot of shit, if you're not holding onto your backpack straps, like, you'll sway, and if you fall over, you'll, like, hurt and damage the stuff that you're carrying.
That's crazy.
Right, and, like...
Oh, it sounds like a Hideo Kojima game.
It does sound like a Kojima game, for sure.
That's what I crave.
Right, and so I say this... I say all this because I think this game is really good, and if you're on the fence, I really wish for you to, like, go and check out the game a little bit, like, see what other people are saying, get a couple different reviews, because I do think that some people are really okay with modern day gaming and find this game to be appalling because it goes such against the grain. And who knows, you might be into that. That might be cool and unique and interesting for you. I feel like this game is going to stand out when people are talking about games of 2019. Or, you know, the games of the late, like, you know, of this, century? Gosh, it's going to be 2020 in a little bit. Decade, yeah. So, like, the end of this decade, like, I think people are going to be talking about Death Stranding a lot, because it just did so many different things that modern day games just don't do as much.
Well, they're not going to be talking about Fortnite?
I think they'll talk about it from a popularity standpoint. That game's fucking, like, big million.
You know, I do all the kills in the Fortnite.
Yes, I do all the buildings and do all the kills. And, yeah, where do we land?
Look at me. This is my floss dance. Doop boop boop doop boop boop doop.
So, do you have any questions about one of the weirdest, like, unique games to come out in 2019?
Yeah, but I feel like they're all going to be spoilery, so maybe we can revisit this in a couple of weeks.
Throw one at me.
Okay. So those, like, the things that the baby can see but you can't see.
Yes.
In the trailer, there's, like, this, like, gigantic silhouette thing.
Yes.
In like the background, is that those things?
It is related. Without spoiling too much, they are related in some way. And you find out in like the 10-15 area, like hour about that.
Okay.
So yeah, they are related. Yeah.
Is Guillermo del Toro a big part?
You meet him very early on.
Okay, cool.
Not really a spoiler.
This is just one of those things where I'm just so fascinated by it. Like,
yeah,
I'll probably never play it, but like,
everything about it. One day you're going to come over and I'm just going to show you how weird this game is.
Yeah, that sounds great, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe I'll just become a hardcore gamer.
get you a fucking hardcore gaming headset and chair and
look
game
at my mouse.
console. How many lights does it have on it?
Oh shit, it's 7.
Nice.
7 lights.
So
is that a good number or a bad number? I don't actually know.
I don't know, but we should move on to the you and a group of adventurers.
Hey, okay, so the answer for the Halloween you and a group of adventurers.
I know it. I think I know it. And to be fair, I was going to guess the wrong thing initially.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm an idiot and totally missed like one key bit of information.
So I don't remember my exact phrasing of it.
The phrase, if memory serves, it was you and a group of adventurers will fight a creature
who can kill you when you're most vulnerable.
When you're most vulnerable, but with the caveat that, but once you learn, you can also fight back or something to that effect.
Yeah.
And so initially, I thought it was Friday the 13th.
Okay.
Which was totally wrong. And Jess was like, so I told Jess, my wife figured it out because I'm an idiot. And she was like, no, it's it. And I'm like, God damn it, you're right.
Oh.
Good
guess. It was Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh shit, that's what I meant. Not Friday the 13th. I meant Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy Krueger. Okay. Yeah. I said the wrong one because I'm not like a horror buff. Not Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was right.
You were right. Hey.
Yes! So she thought it was it. Because that's kind of the same thing, right?
It is very similar, yeah. But once you learn that you can kind of manipulate your dreams to fight back against Freddy. At least that was true in like one of them. So,
right.
Yeah. Do you have a new one for this week?
I do, because I had some left over from and you'll have to remind me if I did this one or not.
Okay.
I
will remind you.
You and a group of adventurers must do whatever they can to survive on a vessel while a dangerous monster hunts your party down one by one.
No, you have not done this one.
Your party consists of wizards, rogues, fighters, and NPCs.
You're on a vessel.
Uh-huh. And then the medium, because that was one of the things we said was, it is a movie.
It's a movie. Shit.
Uh-huh.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right.
I hope we didn't do this one.
What?
I hope we didn't do this one.
I do not recognize it.
Yeah, because we've done... Because I think we did 2 with my sister on the interview, which was the Super Mario Brothers and Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And then, So let me know.
So we're gonna do hashtag, if you want to make a guess, do hashtag, I believe it's Fandom Our Adventures is our hashtag that we've been using for this.
Yeah.
And then we will give you the answer on the next episode.
Yeah, do you have any ideas? Or are you just fucking stumped?
I'm kind of stumped, I think.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, you will have 2 weeks to think on it.
Yeah. So a wizard, wizards, plural.
Yeah, and I'm kind of hesitant to use the party mechanics.
Yeah.
Because it's not set in that universe.
Sure.
So I would probably just stick with, these are people with various professions.
Okay. There are NPCs. And they're fighting against a monster.
Mm-hmm.
I have an inkling.
Okay.
But
we will
revisit this.
Absolutely.
So anyway, Cody, you want to do the setup for the RPG section?
Yes. So
let's do it.
So this season,
the
Ennui are helping and prepping Joe to be a game master or a dungeon master or whatever game it is you're playing.
Yeah, whatever parlance you want to use.
And so the first couple of episodes are going to be like my breakdown of what you need to know to become a game master.
Yeah.
And then after we get through that, like kind of the base things, we'll talk about some like tricks and like tips on like how to make some of those things easier. Yeah. Because one of the through lines that I want to make sure gets talked about is that I remember when I was first becoming a game master, like, I don't know how long ago. And it was scary and daunting, and I spent so much time worrying if I could do it that I should have just fucking did it.
Uh-huh.
You see so many, like, I think this largely in part of, like, you see so many videos and podcasts and shows with all of these great dungeon masters, like Matt Mercer in Critical Role. Like, he's amazing. He's on, like a god tier level that I can't even begin to, like, analyze because it's just so good. And they got voices, they make their own intricate worlds, all this stuff, blah, 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 blah. I'm here to tell you, Joe and the audience, that I am not a game designer, I'm not a voice actor, I went to school for graphic design. And my experience with the tabletop role-playing games is fairly newish, but I played a lot of video games in my day.
Sure.
At best, I like to talk. And if I can do it, anyone can. I want to break that stigma down that anyone can be a game master if they want to. And they need to stop worrying about all those, all like there's all these really great people. It's like, yeah, those great people like Matt Mercer and Adam Coble and brain just turned off.
Griffin?
Yeah, Griffin McElroy. Like, they all had experience. They've all done stuff before this. And, like, they have many years of experience to get to that point. Yeah. Especially, like, if you watch some of, like, the early episodes of The Adventure Zone, like, you can tell that, like, at some points Griffin was struggling a little bit.
Sure.
But I'm here to tell you that anyone can do it. And I'm going to tell you the quote-unquote, and this is episode 1. Yeah. These are there are 3 things you need to know, or what basically your job as the game master.
We're just going to do things.
It's not. It's easy. So there's 3 things. We'll start with the first one.
Okay.
You, Joe, are going to be driving the game.
Yes.
You're going to be telling the players.
Driving gloves on.
Yeah, you got your driving gloves on. We're all in the back seat. We're all we're all asking you if we're there yet.
You're all in the back seat?
Yeah, so problem is there's only like 3 seats, but there's like 6 of us. So like some people are sitting on laps. Some people are on the hood of the car. It's a mess. Okay. But we'll get there. Okay. So you are going to be telling players what is going on.
Okay.
Most of the time that's going to be presenting a problem. And then as a group, the party is going to decide how to solve it. That is boiling down tabletop role-playing games to its bare sentences.
All right.
So that's the first thing. You're driving the game. Anything that stops forward momentum is an encounter. And those encounters will test your players. Because we're going to use the example of Dungeons and Dragons because it's what I'm most familiar with and it's what you're most familiar with. these are going to be broken up into 3 tiers. There's combat encounters, which is, hey, guess what? A bunch of goblins are attacking the town.
Yeah.
Then there's the social encounters, which is, the barkeep blames you for all the damage at the bar from the goblins. You need to talk to him. You need to figure it out. And exploration encounters. You venture into the forest to search for the goblin hideout. Pretty easy stuff. You got 3 tiers of stuff that you will be giving to your players.
Okay.
And
doesn't sound too bad.
No. And the best part about this part is super easy, because you don't need to create your own stuff if you don't want to. Mm-hmm. There's tons of free low-level adventures online for whatever game you're playing. Or if you are feeling really creative, because I do feel like being a game master lets you flex those creative muscles, you can do it on your own. And at least for Dungeons & Dragons, the base rule set is free online. You can grab a bunch of pre-gens and bring like the base rule book. And then there's also a nice little box. I think it's like $20-$30. And it's got dice, it's got pre-characters, and it's got a whole adventure laid out for you. It's called The Lost Mines of Phandelver. And if you're looking to use that and you want to get people in, and so basically that's it. You're driving the game.
Okay.
The second thing, big important thing, you're the storyteller. You're kind of you're the narrator of this story. Like, sure, we're gonna be in there and we're gonna, help you, but you're gonna tell us what's going on.
Okay.
And it's simple as that. Tell me about the bar that the goblins attacked. What happened? Those kinds of things. You're also going to be the actor for all the other players that are not us, which sounds kind of daunting, but this doesn't need to be fancy. You start small and work your way up.
Okay.
And you'll know from my games, I don't do character voices for everybody. In fact, most of the time, it is literally just my voice with a different octave. Now, some of the characters that I really liked, I've grown, there's a couple of really kind of stereotypical accents that I have that I can do for certain characters.
Sure.
But I'm no voice actor.
You're Russian. You're Scottish.
Yeah, I've got my real bad Russian Scottish thing. I've got a southern gambling.
Your southern
man.
one's actually quite good.
That's the one that I've worked the hardest on, and that took years. And then I've got your Valley Girl stereotype, which is real fun.
Yeah.
Like I said, this doesn't have to be fancy. And usually it's following prompts. With premates, they tell you what to say in most cases, and they kind of give you an idea of how those characters are.
Okay.
Usually what I do is I kind of get in that headspace of those characters that I will be talking through. And sometimes I'll follow a prompt that I made on my own. Or I just give them unique mannerisms to make them seem different, when really it's just this is the guard. He's going to tell you how to get to the forest, It doesn't have to be crazy. And then the third thing is you're going to be the referee.
Okay.
You're going to, and this might be, I would argue this is probably the hardest part of the 3 bits, but it's not that hard. You're going to have a mild understanding of the rules and at least know enough to know where to look for the rules. So that's the key thing. You don't need to know all the rules. That's insane. No one knows all the rules. I do not know the rules. I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for I think 6 years now. If that even works in my head, because I don't know when 5th edition started.
Okay.
But I don't know all the rules. But I know where to look for rules, and I know how to make a judgment call. That's it. That's all you need to know, is just kind of understanding how they work. Because here's the thing. Your players are going to ask questions and perform actions. And there are going to be rules on how to interact with those questions and those actions. An example would be if I was one of your players, and that being said, I'm going to want to know how to get to the goblin hideout. Those goblins fucked up the bar.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Yeah, so I'm going to be hey, I'm going to go look in the forest for tracks.
Okay.
So that's going to be your cue to tell me how I do that with my character. Do I roll dice? Do I give you a card? Do I, pull a brick out of a Jenga tower? Mm-hmm. How do I do it in your game?
Okay.
In this case, since we're using Dungeons and Dragons, you're going to make me roll a skill check. And if I roll good enough, I might get the information I need. Mm-hmm. And then the kind of last bit about being the referee is, in a worst case scenario, you're going to be the guy that makes the judgment call. Okay. If it's taking too long to follow a rule and you feel like you're kind of losing the plot, the game's no longer being driven forward, it's kind of driving backwards, make a call. It may not be right. That's okay. Think on the fly. Do what feels right. And then look it up later. Simple as that.
Uh-huh.
And that's it. Those are the three things. You're going to be driving the game, you're going to be the storyteller, and you're going to be the referee. That is all it takes to be a game master.
Yeah, that doesn't sound that bad.
No. And here's the thing. What'll normally happen if you're in a situation where you want to be a game master and you don't have friends who have played to give you tips on how to do that, or you and your friends are also really new to Dungeons and Dragons, guess what? They're not going to know that, they might know that it's your first time.
Uh-huh.
But they're not going to have a frame of reference to be like, man, this was really weird and boring, or this was awful, or whatever. Don't feel bad for being a game master. It's one of those things that, at first seems daunting, seems like impossible. You're like, what the fuck? How do I do this? But then once you get in it, it is so fun. And it's one of the only positions in a game that I know of where if you are creative outside of that, you can use that pretty much for anything in the game. I'm a graphic designer. I went to school to make logos and make things look pretty. So, occasionally I will give my players props based on my creative mind. And so, I will work with things online, make maps, icons, things like that to give them visual representation. And that's a thing you can start doing too. But that's much later. Right now, for episode 1, you're just going to be worried about driving the game forward.
Okay.
You're going to be telling the players what's going on.
Okay.
You're also going to be the storyteller. You're going to be the actor, and you're going to, you're going to describe the smelly bar that has that burnt smell because the goblins burnt the second floor. Okay. And then you're going to be the referee. You're going to tell me what happens when I roll the dice and I go to attack the goblin with my sword, Okay. Am I going to hit or am I going to miss? That's up to you. That's your call. These are your goblins. And that's it. That's the basic overview of being a game master. It's super easy. It's super fun. And these next couple of episodes are going to be getting a little deeper into that.
Sure. Because
I know if you're like me, I want to be I want it to be quote unquote perfect at it. And so I looked up a lot of stuff before I did it to try to get an idea of how to do that. And so I'm going to give you more tips. And then once we get to the end of the season, we're going to use kind of the Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition thing to do a mock session with just me, where I will be your player and I will play your little intro thing. We'll do a couple of small encounters. We'll talk about how this meets up, but the idea will be that at the end of all this, Joe, you're ready. I mean, you're already ready right now with episode 1. You're ready to do it. Anything that I do after this is just going to make you better at it.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And shall we wrap her up?
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you guys so much for listening to yet another episode of Phantom Roulette.
Yeah.
We want to thank you guys so much for swinging by. Please tell a friend. Please rate, review, subscribe based on whatever platform you're using to help us move up the ranks. If you like this section, send us a tweet. You can find out about our social media in the middle section. So if you go back to that, check out that. And we want to thank you guys so much for joining us. I think I already said that, but who cares? You can never be too thankful.
Yeah.
So signing off for Fan Roulette, this is Joe.
And I'm Cody.
And as always, stay nerdy.
Stay super nerdy.